Welcome to another Growing in Grace podcast. Welcome to another Growing in Grace podcast. We're glad that you're with us. We love those that have been with us from season to season, as well as those who are newcomers to the podcast. We like it when you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast and let other people know about the benefit that this podcast is being to you, your family, and friends. Today we have a special, very special guest with us today. This is my favorite baby daughter. I have a favorite older daughter as well, but this is my favorite baby daughter, my only baby daughter, and this is Vista Jeffries. And today we're going to talk about marital fears. And maybe I got a little anxiety too about releasing you to somebody. But you may have a little anxiety about taking on a new head or a new mate, a mate rather, a husband, somebody who would be your lifelong partner. And so there are fears that people have and anxieties about marriage. And some people just elect to delay or to die.
Yes.
Deny themselves the privilege of marriage, which is actually an honorable institution. You know, and so many people have corrupted it, made it look bad, given it a bad look, a bad name. Don't get married. You probably heard that before, right?
Right, I have.
You didn't hear that from me.
No.
But you've heard it before.
Yes.
I wouldn't get married if I was you.
Right.
You know, that kind of stuff. And you see the bad examples of marriage.
Yes.
You see things that would cause you to maybe have a little pause. But what are some of your fears about marriage?
So I would say my biggest one, which I'm working myself out of, is the fear of change. The fear of change. I don't like change.
Yes.
Even you left and moved to Atlanta. We all lived in Chattanooga, and that change was a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I recognize about myself that I don't like change. But change is good and it's necessary. And dealing with marriage, you are going to change because you've never been a wife before. You've never been a husband before. So you're going to learn their ways. They're going to learn your ways. It may have to come in the form of moving. It may come in the form of you learning new ideas. So change is a big part of marriage.
Well, so that might be a fear of yours, right?
Yes.
Okay, fear of change. But have you ever seen this kind of thing right here? What does this represent? What does this represent?
Your heartbeat, your life.
Yes, life, right?
Yes.
Life is full of changes.
Yes.
Just keep living. It's going to change.
Right.
Life will change.
Yes.
And it will put a change. I mean, life is just full of change. And what does this represent?
Death, flatline.
Okay, right. So here's the thing about the fear and anxiety of marriage. I had this conversation with a man who's recently married, and I think it's appropriate to have this conversation again with somebody who is a female.
Yes.
But you have not been married.
Right.
And we probably could have this conversation with a female who has been married and have a whole different conversation. But here's the thing. Whether you're male or female, to get married, you need courage. You need courage to face the fear of even a change. But one of the things that help you to overcome your fear is to recognize that oftentimes the fear is not a fear of something that's going to really, in actuality, hurt you. It's just an idea of something hurting you.
Right. Right.
It's an idea of something hurting you, and that's what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
It's you build up something that sometimes never happens.
Exactly.
Never happens.
Never happens. Exactly.
Yeah.
And something I had to realize about myself is that when you're resistant to change, you can be stubborn and stuck in your ways, and you can block yourself from a blessing.
Yes.
And so you really have to recognize that it's not the thing, it's your own fear and anxiety that's could be holding you back.
Yes, yes. So one of your fears is change. What's another one of your fears?
I would say when I think about marriage, I think about my season of singleness, which has been long.
Long. Oh my goodness.
It has felt long.
Yes.
But thinking about moving on to the next season it makes me think about the people that I've had around me, my community, and something about that does make me a little sad because I know that when you do get married, it can change the nature of your friendships with your single friends. You can still keep those friends, but it's not the same. It's not the same, and you can't really relate as well when you're in a different season and different setting.
Well, that's true. You've probably heard me say this before, that my wife is my best friend.
Yeah.
Right now, you probably got best friends.
Yes.
But if you got a husband, your husband actually should become your best friend. Now, I when I say things like that, I can hear people saying, well, what chapter and verse is that in the Bible that says that your spouse should be your best friend? Here's what the Bible does say, is that two become one.
Right.
And if you're not a friend to yourself, okay, there may be some things that needs to be fixed.
Exactly.
Do you kind of see where I'm going with that?
Yes.
You know, because I can hear somebody say, well, that ain't in the Bible that your husband or your wife should be your best friend. However, it is in the Bible that you should be one. And who would be your better friend when you're not a friend to yourself, and if you're married, then that person becomes a part of you.
Right.
And if y'all don't have a friendship relationship and y'all don't become BFFs, best friends forever,
Right.
or at least until death do you part,
Right.
then you're going to probably have a problem. So you're going to be developing a new best friend.
Yes.
So to get a husband, you got to develop a new best friend relationship, which means that all the other best friends got to come under subjection.
Yes.
You understand? So
Yes.
you're right that it should change those relationships. In fact, I'm your father.
Yes.
But actually, your husband should become your head. And that's not me.
Right.
And so even the relationship between you and I should probably change.
Right.
The relationship
It goes back to change.
Yes. As well.
Yeah.
And it's appropriate.
Yes,
You
it
know.
is.
And so your husband should take that first position. Your husband should take that first position, not your dad, not your mom. Your husband should take that first position.
Right.
But in thinking of that, you don't want somebody to take that position that's not qualified.
Right.
So that's a fear
Yes.
that people have as well.
Marrying the wrong person.
Marrying the wrong person. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience, your recent experience with the dating app? What dating app was this supposed to be?
It was called Holy.
Yeah.
It's called Holy.
Now, before you go into that, did I tell you to go on this dating app and go and do this on a dating app? Did I advise you to do that?
You said to pray about it, but you did not see anything that would be wrong. But to be careful, because people can lie to your face as well as they can lie to you on an app.
Well, this is a good segue into what really happened to you.
Yes.
Yes. Before you go into that, I would tell people apps, phone calls, face-to-face in the congregation. You've got to be careful.
Have to.
You got to be careful. And even the Bible says, believe not every spirit.
Right.
So you just can't be gullible.
Right.
You can't be gullible, whether it's in any mode or medium. Be careful.
Right.
Be careful.
Right.
Yes.
So, yes. So I was on a dating app, and I did meet somebody, and this person seemed to be on fire for the Lord, and he had a lot of what we call zeal, but not enough knowledge.
Yes.
I soon came to find out. And when we would have conversations about the Bible, he would tell me things, and it didn't line up to what I already knew. And so we had to come to a point where I brought him to my pastor, and we talked through things that we've been dealing with about just women pastors and getting the Holy Ghost, speaking in tongues, things like that. And we just went around and around. And then it come to find out that this person ended up ghosting me. Ended up ghosting me after we talked for 3 months. And then my prayer was, okay, well, if this isn't for me, then God, take it away. And that's what happened. And so I moved on. And then 3 months later, this person contacted me again and said, "Are we good? Are we okay?" And our response is, "No, we're not okay."
Those his first words after not hearing from him from 3 months?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we good?
Are we good? Okay. So you're dead to me.
Right. And so I asked him, I said, "Well, what happened to you?" And he said, "Well,"
because you had reached out to him, but he never responded in 3 months.
Right, in 3
Okay,
months.
okay.
I spent a week reaching out to him, phone calls, and everything. And after a week, I said, "Well, all right then. This is what it is." And so I asked him, I said, "Well, what happened to you?" And he said, "Well, the day that I was supposed to come and see you," because he didn't live in my state. And so we had planned a trip for him to come down and meet everyone. And he said, "Well, the week that I was supposed to come and see you, my brother and my sister died." And I said, "Man, that is terrible." But something did not sit well with me as soon as he said that. And so the next day I asked him, I said, "I don't normally ask this, but I think I need to see the death certificate of your brother and sister." And he said, "Well, do you think I'm lying about the death of my siblings?" And I said, "Absolutely. I sure do." And
oh, you told him that?
Yes, I did. I said, "I think you are lying." And then the excuses started. "Oh, I threw the obituary away. Oh, I'm going to have to reach out to my aunt. She has a digital copy." All of the things. And then I asked him, I said, "Well, what is your intention here?" And he said, "Well, I want to be married to you. I'm still willing to move. I want to be back in relationship. I want to grow with you." All of these things. And I said, "Well, none of this is going to happen. None of this is going to happen until I see proof. And even after that, I still have to decide if I want this relationship," which I didn't. And so a day later, I finally get proof. And he sends me a picture of a casket. And I immediately took it to Google Image. And someone found the same exact image online. And it was a picture taken from Norway.
Okay.
In 2013.
Okay.
Not last year.
Okay.
And not 6 months ago. In 2013 in a different country.
Yes.
So I sent it to him and I said, "Excuse me?" and then more excuses. And so the end result was, I said, "To answer your original question, we're not good. And this is not a fruitful conversation. And I hope you have a good life. And God bless." And that was the end of that.
Yes.
But the thing I got out of all of that was his character was shown. His character was shown through that, because I had never met this person in face to face.
Right. And even to the day, you have never met.
Right. I've never met him. He's a real person now. But but I had never met him. And so I kept telling him, there's so much I don't know about you. And what was revealed to me was, this is not someone that I even need to be in relationship with, because he was proclaiming so many spiritual things, but those things were not true because his actions did not line up.
Right.
So I got my answer.
Right.
I got my answer.
Right. And so to marry somebody, you want to marry somebody that's true.
Right.
You want to marry somebody that's real, and not somebody who puts up a front. And then once you get into the marriage, you find out, oh, they were not that. And sometimes I especially for our sisters, you want to be able to be very careful of a man who maybe come to the congregation to get to know you, and really his whole objective is to pull you away from what you have been taught from the congregation, and pull you away from God. And they'll put on this front like they're going to be this certain type of guy or man or husband. And then once you marry, you find out they're not going to be that person.
Exactly. And that is why I would say it is very important to know the scriptures for yourself and to be rooted in the word, because one of the things, like I mentioned before, was the speaking in tongues, getting the Holy Ghost. And it was right around the time Bishop on Wednesdays, he was talking about it Wednesday after Wednesday. And when he brought that up, my ears were attuned to what Bishop was saying, and I said, this is false. This is not true. And so it is very helpful, especially as a woman, to know the word for yourself. And it will keep you from being taken every which way, because there's a lot out there that people believe is false. So.
So he believed in speaking in tongues, but he didn't believe in telling the truth all the time.
Right.
Okay.
And he didn't believe in perfection.
Okay.
He didn't believe you could be perfect.
He didn't believe you could live right all the time. And so he ghosted you for 3 months and lied about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So, so what are some of your other concerns about taking on somebody that's going to be ahead to you? Because you as a woman is different from, so you would be a wife. Yes. So the fears of a wife may be different from the fears of somebody who's going to be a husband, taking on responsibility as a head. But you as a wife, you have to take on the responsibility of submitting to a husband.
Yes, it is on my list.
Okay.
Fear of submission. Yes.
Fear of submission.
Yes. Wives, submit to your husbands.
Yeah. So what about that kind of gives you a little anxiety? What about that?
Well, and from you and several of our pastors, we're taught to choose wisely who's going to be your head, because that is who you're going to have to submit to. And so I think the submission piece comes from maybe losing your identity, losing your sense of the strong, independent woman that you are. And that's partly who you raised me to be, to stand on your own. But then to come into marriage, you have to humble yourself down and to be willing to listen and not to make all the decisions. Give your input, but be willing to go with what the official decision is. And so I think that is something a lot of women have to contemplate and deal with.
Yeah. So you're going to be you should be looking at the character of the man.
Yes.
And would he be willing to listen? Or you want somebody who can make decisions, but you also want somebody who can be wise enough to listen to wise counsel.
Yes.
And you want to be able to be somebody who can provide input and wise counsel and be a help to your husband, but not a leader to your husband.
Right.
Do you want to, I want to ask you this question just point blank. Do you want to lead your husband? Do you want a leader in a husband? Do you want your husband to be a leader, or do you want to lead your husband?
I want to find a leader in my husband. And I want someone who has been taught how to be a man first and foremost. And so for me, one of the things to look for is, who are your father figures? Who is your strong male role model that has shown you, okay, this is what it looks like to be a man. And I think that's very important too. But yes, I don't want to lead, because that is not acting in femininity at all, in my opinion. And so I want to be in my proper place, and then he's in his proper place.
Yeah. So, a question. Does that mean you have to lose your identity? I know I heard what you said.
Yes.
But does that mean you have to lose your identity? Because here again, some things that you fear is not things that you should fear.
Right.
Sometimes we get these ideas like, well, if I'm submitting, then I'm losing my ability to think, the ability to have a voice, my identity, when that's not really true.
Right.
Can you see that that's not really...
It is not true. And the person I look most to that is my mom. She will tell you.
She has her identity.
Yes,
I can tell you that right now.
And watching how you both interact. And she gives her opinion.
Yes.
But I have seen her submit and still follow your lead.
Yes.
And she still has her full, well-rounded personality
and identity.
And,
yes,
and identity. So you don't have to lose that.
No. And here's something I want you to understand, you and any other female. If a man wants you to lose his identity, lose your identity rather, that's not somebody for you.
Right.
And I'll say it like this. A good man will understand what a good woman looks like. And a good man would value your identity rather than try to get you to abandon who you are.
Right.
A good man will want you for who you are, not for who you might change to be someday later, or he might manipulate to change to be something else.
Right.
A good man will value you for who you are and love you for who you are, and not try to get you to be somebody else.
Right.
And also, the thing is, for me, now this is for me, I would want somebody that will be honest with me and tell me what they really think, rather than try to tell me what they think I want to hear.
Right.
Because somebody who can be honest with me, they can give me a perspective that can really actually help me to see a blind spot that I may have.
Exactly.
And actually, a wife is supposed to be a helpmeet to a husband, not just a yes person that goes along with all of his ideas without giving true input.
Right. Helping to think.
Yes. So if he's saying something that you think is another way, then you help him. It does come to a point to where you have to come to an agreement, but you should give your truth, your true thoughts or ideas before y'all settle on that final thing to do. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Absolutely. I agree. And it's good to be able to think yourself for yourself, and then think with somebody else.
Yes. Yes. To create synergy.
Exactly.
That unity of thought, and you become one. And so that's the ultimate goal, is when you get married, you become one. And here's another thought about that is, oftentimes in marriage, especially a good marriage, the best ideas are the ideas you come up with together.
Yes.
Oftentimes they're not wholly the ideas of the husband or wholly the ideas of the wife, but the ideas that come together and from the unity of the marriage and from the unity of the minds and putting your heads together.
Yes, I agree.
So that's one of your fears. It's a head that's not appropriate.
Right.
Is that a way of succinctly saying that?
Yes, yes. Just being wise about who you're choosing.
Yes,
Because
to be your head.
Exactly.
As a woman.
Right.
Yes.
Right. It's a very, very important decision.
So what is the criteria you're looking for in a sound head? You know, because the Bible talk about he has not given us a spirit of fear, but love, power, and a sound mind.
Yes.
So what is your idea for a sound head or sound leadership for a husband? What is your criteria? What is your
I would say someone first and foremost who loves God. And I would say someone who loves God more than they love me. And that's first and foremost, because I know that that's going to guide everything that we face. The next thing behind that would be someone who has the ability to think and make decisions. And someone who is able to listen, can have that listening ear, someone who's compassionate, and someone that can grow, that can grow, and from listening to others. Yeah.
Okay. I think at one point you said something about a credit score.
Oh, yes. Yes. Integrity, honesty, yes.
Okay. So if they got like a 200, it's a no.
No. Right. It's a no. It's a no. Someone, yes, who
With a
can do
200
what they
credit
say
score.
they're going to do.
What does a 200 credit score represent?
It represents someone who goes into a commitment and then breaks it and does not hold true to their word.
Because I think that when I spoke about that, I could hear, sometimes I hear the rebuttal to some of the things I say. Although it's not a true, like it's not somebody talking to me,
Right.
but I can hear the thoughts out there.
Yeah.
Well, what's that got to do with anything? Well, here, what it has to do with marriage, it's about commitment. Like if you say you're going to do something, do you do what you say you're going to do?
Exactly.
And that's what that measures. That's why even a mortgage company, they look at, okay, well, what is their credit score?
Right.
Will they actually pay this mortgage? Will they pay this money back? And if you've got a history of not paying money back, then maybe you're not going to pay me back.
Right.
And so they'll say denied, or we're going to give you a high interest rate so that we can get our money early because you may not fulfill the fullness of the contract.
Exactly.
And the reality of a marriage is it's a lifelong commitment. So if you can't follow through with short-term commitments, how are you going to follow through with a long-term commitment?
You're not.
See, if you can't pay a Macy's bill, well, how you going to pay a mortgage, which is like 30 years? If you can't pay off a car payment in 5, well, how you going to pay off a house in 15 to 30? You kind of...
Absolutely.
So, I don't even know how you really bring up the conversation in a dating situation. How do you feel about? I don't know how you bring that up, but that's something to think about. Okay, how do you measure up in fulfilling your commitments? I think one of the ways that your mom did it with me was. She told me I had to have a car.
Yes.
And what I did was I ended up buying a car. And I got a new car. I had a truck, but she said that her mom had told her that she couldn't marry me unless I had a car.
Yep.
Or she couldn't marry a man without a car. That was what she said. And I don't even think I even asked her about marriage or anything. I just where did that come from? It's like, oh, what's this? But at any rate, I learned early on that I wanted her as a wife. And so I went ahead and got a car. But what that did was it proved that I had ability.
Right.
It proved that I had ability.
Yes.
And I would say to you and any other female, the man needs to prove that he has an ability. Because when he face adversity, you're going to need his ability to step up and so that he can provide and protect and to do those things.
Exactly.
And so one of your fears is that you might get a head that won't be able to provide and protect and to be the proper head that he ought to be. Is that valid?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so, all right. Well, what's another one of your fears?
Well, I wouldn't say this is my personal fear, but some people have a fear of financial instability.
Oh, we just led right on into
Yeah, right, right.
well, fear of being put outside, huh?
Yes, fear of being poor.
Fear of poor, fear of
Yes,
poverty.
yes.
But in the marriage vows, isn't it something about richer
Rich
or
or poor?
poor?
It does say that.
Okay.
It does say that.
Okay. So speak on that.
I think some people may lean too heavy and think too much about money, and that thought may cause them to be resistant to going into a marriage with somebody because they're too focused or worried about numbers. And which is important. We have to have money to live and things like that. But it is also important to, if he is a good head, then knowing that those things can work themselves out. Because I think about you, when you started, you got married at 19.
Yes.
And you didn't have all the money. But my mom saw past that. And if you have someone with good character and the ability to work and to be honest and to want to provide, then that you can look past those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I will say this. That the older the person is, they should have a history.
Yes.
They, so at 19, you don't have a lot of
Right.
of history, and so you probably don't have the house or certain things. You probably hadn't got all those things in place. But so then you're going to really need to be looking into the character and the mindset of a person.
Yes.
But then as they get older in their 20s, they actually should be more established.
Right. They should.
And the older they are, the more established they should be.
Right.
So if you're getting ready, and listen to me well, people, if you're getting ready to marry somebody and they're like 25 or 30, they should not be in the same position as a 19-year-old.
Right. Right.
Let me just let that sink in a little bit. Let that soak in a little bit.
Yes.
Because if you don't mind, a person that's older, if they're in the same position as an 18 or 19-year-old, that means that they haven't matured.
Right.
And they haven't, they may not be the headship that you're looking for if they're still like a teenager. They may not be a man. They may be having the man age, but the boy attitude.
Yes.
And there are some people that are that way. They have age, but they don't have maturity.
Exactly.
And so if you're a wife or a woman seeking a husband, you should be looking for a mature man rather than somebody that's half or broken and not whole and haven't come to manhood. Yes, go ahead.
And I would say another fear that some people might have is repeating the mistakes of their parents. Because some parents have maybe destroyed the good nature of what marriage can be and is. And they don't want to go into a marriage doing the same things that their parents or someone that they know did. Maybe in divorce, or the parents don't talk anymore, and it's a foul situation, and they don't want to go into a marriage knowing what they know.
Yes, thinking that they're going to repeat the past, living out the same marriage that they experienced from their parents.
Exactly.
Now, again, you're not them.
Right.
And you can make different decisions. And sometimes a bad example is also a good example of what not to do. And so one of the ways to overcome a bad example is look at it, study it, and decide not to fall into those same decisions that led to that bad example. And I can testify that I came from a broken home. And I love both of my parents, but I decided as a child that I was not going to repeat what my parents did.
Right.
I decided that as a boy. I wasn't nowhere near old enough to get married. But I remember speaking to myself. I remember speaking to myself saying, I don't like that my mom and my dad are not together. And I had some issues because of that. And I decided, if I ever get married and have children, I'm going to stay with my wife and I'm going to raise my children. I just decided that. So I wasn't afraid to get married because I just decided that I was going to be different.
Yes.
I was going to do different. I was going to make some different decisions.
And it starts in your mind.
It does. It starts in your mind. So
Right.
then, I had a conversation with my potential wife about divorce. And I spoke about what I believed about it. I asked her, do you believe in it? Because if you believe in divorce, I don't want to marry you.
Right.
I didn't say that exactly. Anyway. But, you just have to have a candid conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if she believed in it, then that could have happened easily.
Right.
My wife could have, divorced me because we had some hardship. Or I could have divorced her because we had some hardship. And I would tell anybody that if you have a marriage, you're probably going to have some worse times. It won't always be better. Sometimes it will be worse. It will be cyclical in that you'll have ups and downs.
Right.
And the reality of it is, if the person believes in divorce, then they might play that card on you.
Exactly.
They might play that card on you in the low time. So the thing of it is if you decided early that you don't believe in that you want to have a successful marriage, then you make it what it ought to be by your thinking and how you deal with hardship, how you deal with the arguments, and how you deal with the disappointments, how you deal with whether you're going to forgive or not.
Yes.
All of that. And that's how you can have a successful marriage, even though somebody in your life may not have had one. Right. They may not have chosen to forgive. They may not have chosen to argue appropriately.
Yes.
They may not have chosen to serve, to have the give and take mentality.
Yes.
To serve by serving the spouse. Some people think that marriage is about what they can get out of it,
Yes.
rather than what you can put into it.
Exactly. Yes, and I would have to say, going after your testimony, is that it is wonderful that you decided to stay with your wife, because then generations that come after you can look at your marriage and see that, hey, this man made a different decision and I can do the same thing.
Yes.
And that will empower other people to make, go in that same direction.
Yes. So you said that one of the fears is a bad example, and being afraid that you'll repeat that bad example. And so is that something that we really have to be afraid of?
No.
We might help somebody to get married after this. I don't know.
Right.
Overcome your fears. Marriage is a beautiful institution,
yes,
as long as you treat it right.
Right.
And you need to marry well. So you got to cut through the noise and don't marry somebody on lies. You can't build a trusting relationship based off of lies.
Right.
So if you marry well, you can have a good marriage.
Exactly.
But people have just messed up the institution of marriage. But the institution that God made is not messed up.
Right.
It's just people who have messed up.
Exactly.
See? So the institution is still good.
Exactly.
It's just that some people are flawed, which you don't have to follow that flawed example.
Exactly. And my faith is that if I follow God's order and how He set up dating, how He set up marriage, then my marriage will work. It's impossible for it to fail because His way's perfect.
Yes.
And His way's better. So, yeah, that's my faith.
That's your faith. So, all right. What other fear?
Other fear. I was in conversation with someone, and they told me that their fear would be fear of loss of a spouse. Maybe they've lost a spouse before, and now they're, they can be married
So the
again.
death.
A death of a spouse. Looking forward into the future, maybe, and thinking about the possibility of your spouse not being there anymore.
So, wow. So the question is it better to have never loved
Yes.
or to have loved and had suffered a loss?
Right.
So which is better? What do you think is better? To have never loved or to love and suffer a loss? Which one is better?
I think it's better to love.
Yeah.
To love and suffer a loss. Yes. Yeah. And then I look back at some of the mothers in our church who have lost their husbands, and to hear them speak about their marriage and the wonderful love story that they were able to have. That is very encouraging. And then to hear them speak about how they still have hope because their hope is not taken away because God is still there and He's should be our first love. So
yes. In fact, if He's not, then your marriage may not be what it should be.
Right.
Which sometimes people get caught up in their husband or their wife over God. Yes. I mean, so that relationship should be a very high priority relationship, but it should not over prioritize God.
Right.
God is first. And so when something happens to the marriage, then for some people, if that's their first love or their primary relationship, then their life is like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like it's in but if God is number one, then you go on.
Right. Exactly.
And so the other thing is that, like you said about some that have had beautiful marriages and they lost their husband, they have their memories. Yes. And their life is richer because they had that marriage.
Right.
And so your life may not be as rich if you don't share it with somebody.
Yes.
It may not be as rich. Now, not to say that everybody has to be married to have a rich life, but marriage is beautiful when you marry the right person. Exactly. And those life experiences that you have with that other person, they don't go away after the death. They actually are things that create memories for your life that you can speak. And actually, oftentimes, even though you may have a spouse that pass away at some point in life, you oftentimes create not only memories, but you have children. Yes. You may have grandchildren. It's a living memory. And so then what I'm saying is you can actually begin to have a greater legacy by having had a marriage and maybe had some children. For some may not have children. Everybody's journey is not the same. And so to compare your journey to somebody else, you might need to focus on what your journey is supposed to be.
Right.
But to have a fear of a death, to say, I won't get married because somebody might die.
They may die.
They may die.
Yes.
So what's your blood pressure? Do you have...
You gotta go get a checkup.
Sometimes people's fears get in the way of a rich and fulfilling life. And that's why it's good not to allow fear to stop you from living. Right. And stop you from getting married. You just want to marry in the right way, go about it the right way. But don't let the fear choke you to death. Fear of death. Fear of death. Perfect love cast out fear. Yes. And give you courage to go forward in love. Yes. Yes. So death, fear of death. Okay. Here's another one about death, though. I think some people have a fear of until death. And that is to say that I have to stay with this person until death.
Right. I can't go. Right. I can't make any other choices.
Yeah,
this is my person.
This is, oh my God, this is my person. This is my person until they die. And they're wealthy.
And they won't die.
He's got a good blood pressure. He doesn't have diabetes.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
Yes.
And so if things go sour and it's until death, Lord, okay. So what about that one? The idea that this is my person and this is my choice and this is the choice until death do us part.
Right. It's in the vows.
Yes.
And I think that's where your integrity comes in at, and where your vow is and commitment is not just to that person, but it's also to God. And for women also, with the submission piece, serving your husband and loving him, like the Bible said, it's not just about him. It's about your salvation is attached to this person, because if I don't treat my husband well, then I'm not following the word. And then my soul could be cast down. Yeah. And I don't want that. So that is a very important thing, and to know that before you get into marriage. But you don't have to, it could be a fear, but you don't have to let it be a fear, because if, like you said, you go into ups and downs, so you may not even always like your husband, but the love can still be there. Yes.
There'll be challenges and things you have to overcome.
Right.
And so the thing of it is that you got to stay in fellowship with God, whether you're a man or a woman or a husband or a wife. And so even you speak about the submission piece, but then the husband's got that other side of honoring his wife and giving honor unto her as the weaker vessel. And if he don't treat his wife in an honorable way, then he's out of fellowship with God too.
Right.
And his prayers are hindered. Yep. And if his prayers are hindered, then something else might be hindered too. He might, when he get before God, God may tell him, "Depart from me. Your work was of iniquity. You treated your wife horrible. You can't come into my kingdom with your foul self. Depart from me, you work of iniquity."
Right.
You was iniquitous. No, you can't come into my kingdom like that. You don't have a heart. Your heart was not right toward your wife or towards me. Right. And so it's wonderful when two people are in God, and then they come together and they have a unity that is the two becoming one, but God being in the midst of that union.
Right.
And he being the first and foremost part of the man and first and foremost part of the woman. And then they come together with God as their guide and the Spirit as their guide, and the two become one flesh.
Exactly.
Now, marriage is a fleshly situation. It's not about spirits, because, you're not marrying somebody's spirit.
Yeah, you're marrying them.
You marry the flesh. I don't just want my wife's spirit. I want her flesh. I don't know, spirit might get cold, I want a warm body next to me.
Right. Exactly.
And the thing of it is it is a fleshly experience. So how much do you think attraction should play in the marriage? The marriage. Do you have a fear of the attraction waning? So here's the truth.
Yes.
Here's the truth.
Yes.
We all start out at one position.
Yes.
But the position that we start out in, we don't end up at that same position.
Right.
We change. There's going to be changes. So physically, health-wise, all of those, the thing that you fear is change. That you started out with, so but this change is going to come.
It's going to come.
I think that was a song. It's a long time coming, but the change is going to come.
Right.
Oh, yes, it will.
Yes.
So here's the thing about it. our features change. And so this is something that people get caught up in, features, and I want this and I want that, and this type of physique and this height and this width and all of that. But that changes.
It does.
It changes. So
along with your mind.
So speak on it.
Yes. So yes, I do think that there should be a level of attraction, of wantingness of the other person. But like you're saying, as you grow older, your body changes and your mind changes. So it doesn't become this big focal point that you're all encompassed by. It becomes more of, man, I really enjoy spending time with this person.
Yes.
I enjoy conversation. I enjoy just being in their presence. And then, you know, everything else that comes with that.
Yes.
But it is not this, oh, you need to have perfect, clear skin and all of these things. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So as you get older, you say, baby, put your teeth in your mouth. I want to talk to you.
Yes.
So, like, my wife and I, even now, we, of course, still have physical attraction to each other after 30 years of marriage. In fact, you know, my wife's features have changed over the years. Actually, she's more attractive now than she was when we first married, which I was very attracted to her then. And in fact, I've changed myself as well. In fact, I think I was probably heavier, even personally. Even my mindset about health and wellness was different when I first got married. And so I was a heavier person, and my wife was even heavier. And along the way, our minds changed about health and wellness and how we eat and how we exercise. And in fact, we've been on a journey for, our lifestyle is really, it's a more healthy lifestyle than when we first got married.
We used to eat them beans too.
So you can just imagine, I got a pot. I got a little pot at the house. I do right now in the refrigerator as we speak.
Yes.
And even before I came here today, I went for a run. And your mother, she exercises, and so we have a different mindset about even health and wellness.
Right.
We do. And we have commonality about these different things and what we talk about. So our connection is not just physical. We have a mental connection.
Exactly.
And we can talk about things that are stimulating, mentally stimulating. So it's physical is one thing, and then so you actually probably want to have more than one connection.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the older I get, not that I'm some old person, but
you're just 25. Oh my goodness!
But
you're only 25.
I am, but the more, I guess, the better way to say it, the more life happens.
Yes.
The more life happens,
yes.
The more I learned that life is about balance. It's not, it's all on one side or all on this side. It's about having a little bit here, a little bit there, and creating that balance in your life. So, yes. That's a beautiful example.
So, is there another fear that you like to talk about? Or have you exhausted your fears?
And I think I've exhausted my fears.
So now you're ready to just kind of go forth and be courageous.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Very good. You have any closing remarks?
I will say that I am glad to be here. I'm glad to be talking about this with you, especially now in this season that I'm in. It feels very right. Perfect for this season. And I'm glad to be here. And I hope this helps someone.
Yes. So you feel like you're an overcomer?
I do. I do.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. I'm glad for our audience to hear this conversation between my daughter and I. This is Victoria Jeffries, and I am her father. And so anybody who wants to think about taking my daughter from me, you got to come through me. But I am confident, and I believe that you will make a good decision. And I do look forward to having a conversation with the gentleman who would like to ask for your hand in marriage. And I hope that that day comes soon and very soon. Not too fast, but at the right time.
Right.
Not with a lot of delay. Because there comes, I will say this, there comes a time when you know.
Yes.
And sometimes people delay out of fear. They know, but they delay out of anxiety and fear. And so for you and your potential spouse, I want the delay to only be because of true vetting. But when you know, then it's time to go forward.
Right.
And for our audience, marriage is honorable in all, the bed undefiled. God blesses and honors marriage. Just go about it the right way. Overcome your fears and seek the Lord for counsel. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He's able to direct your path to the marriage that you should go into. May God bless you and may heaven smile upon you. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast because we believe that these conversations will be of benefit to your life or somebody's life that's close to you, some of your children's life, your grandchildren's life. We pray that this podcast will help you to grow in grace. Hence the name, Grow in Grace. May God bless you until next podcast. Come on back.